twitching. This feels very... Can you see my eyeball twitching? I feel like you can see it. So, I haven't done this in so long. Hello, for whenever people arrive, since nobody's here. So I had a stream set up because I was fiddling with the settings for like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. And it turns out my screen orientation was wrong because it doesn't want you to stream horizontally. So I had to go back and do advanced settings and redo that, which caused it to kick this to a new... I had to back out of the stream that I was setting up to do this. So there were 3 people waiting for that stream and there's nobody here. So that's a little awkward. I mean, shit, it's saying I'm live. Sorry, I shouldn't have said shit. I ruined everything already. This is terrifying. Hello? Is anybody coming? Where are you guys? Hello? Everybody's probably waiting on the other stream. I'm sure it's still saying it's set up, so that's good. That's great. So I should be saying something of substance, so when people watch this later who missed it live, at least you guys can see what's going on, you know? I'm not here much anymore to stream from here. So I decided for old time's sake to do a stream while I'm here. In this beige corner of this place. Hi VGC, where is the cats? I love you too, dude. I'm so glad that we've been able to stay in touch. They're literally all evaporated. Edgar is sleeping in a bed nearby. He didn't want to be out, so he's sleeping in a cat bed. Mira's sleeping nearby. Yeah. Standard compliment and slight flirty comment. Thank you. I appreciate it. Gives me something familiar to work with, or I don't know. Do you know the VGC? Is everybody on the other stream? Like, is it still counting that one as going live? Because it like tried to keep me from streaming. What is this stuff? My eye's twitching so hard. Ooh, I'm not gonna mess with any of that. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna collapse that menu. Yeah, I mean, everybody's probably there, so anyway, that's fine. That's fine. YouTube was trying to silence me for trying to stream this way, so that's cool. I'm fine. My ego's not bruised that I have 1 viewer and 1 like. I'm fine. I suppose I should say, yeah, I should say something of substance for later. So, I have not been here in a long time. My eyeball is twitching because my brain is short-circuiting, so that's fine as well. I put stuff right here, so there would be some kind of decoration if I'm sitting here on this love seat from the 70s, which I am, because I really am very attached to it. Hi, how are you? Welcome. How do you say your name? Is it Furry? Just Furry Kitten? Fury Kitten? Hi, welcome. Okay, thank you. Thank you for helping. Furry kitty. Dude, oh, okay. That was weird. It never, okay. I haven't done this in so long. It never used to allow you to open other, pardon my language, tabs while you're doing this. And I tried to dismiss it and it, well, you know, so everything's fine. Sorry about just everything, really. I apologize for all aspects of my existence generally. Yeah, so I haven't streamed in like dissociating while I try and remember. I haven't streamed. Okay, I gotcha. That's really cute. It's a play on both. I haven't streamed in 2.5 years. More than that, maybe. I don't know. You guys would know better than I. But I haven't been here in a while, and so it's been long enough that I wanted to make a a humble little return and say hi, and I don't like the way my hair is laying, and that's okay, because it really doesn't matter. No one is distraught but myself. So, what's going on? I have a protein bar. These are awful. Oh, okay. So a little bit of context, a little bit of background here. You guys are propped on an ottoman, October 10th, 21. Okay. Okay, so close to 2.5 years, right? And then you're then on a ThreadUp box, which is that thrifting site where you can buy dangerous amounts of really cute clothing from other people. And then I had to rebuy my little phone tripod because I lost my old one and I looked everywhere for hours and can't find it. So, this is an incredibly terrifyingly precarious setup. Like if I sneezed too hard, everything would collapse. So that's good. Hi Orla. Um, Hello, Angry Froman. How has it been that long? I feel like I see you all the time. Well, you follow me on Twitter. I use that a little bit in Vent, and I'm active in, some places, but I did my update sort of video a little while back here, like a month ago or two. I apologize to anybody new. Yay, how are you, Adelinda? I hope you're well. I hope you're having a good day. For anybody who's new here because God hates you and put you here of all places, of all the happenings you could have come across, I do eat on stream a little bit. I am, what was I called yesterday? Charmingly infirm. So, I have terrible blood sugar issues, so I got a snack. I'm drinking my Great Value water as well. So I'll snack a little bit. I do have 12 ounces of iced coffee here, which will considerably improve my current medical and mental state. So we'll be ingesting all of that. That's on the agenda for today. What I used to do, I don't know why I'm talking like anybody's going to be new here. What I used to do is I would do my makeup on here. And, one moment. These are so gross. I went fishing the other day. I had a box of these, the cookie dough Quest protein bars, and I broke off teeny tiny little crumbs of it and was throwing it to the baby bluegill, and they would like eat it and spit it out. Even the bluegill were like, nah, that's not, they didn't like, I'm like, yeah, they're vile. They're despicable. I don't blame you. Oh my God. Hi, Dump Bin Showers. How are you? How are you? Welcome. I plan to be doing this more. Roasted root veg and seaweed. I love seaweed. Seaweed is one of the few... Sorry, Nemi's crawling in a bunch of paper in a box, so that's going to be insufferably crinkly. Yeah. Seaweed is one of the few plants that I'm not allergic to. Hi, your boy Pat. Welcome. I've been through a lot. I haven't decided how much detail to go into here, but sorry, let me finish my thought real quick. So I used to do my makeup from almost scratch on here, which really caused my respect to flourish for you guys, that you're willing to gaze upon my... Nemi! Moment, please. She's sniffing. She's trying to get comfy. She is. Good job, Numbers. She looked at me like, I don't know. There was a little bit of a delay between me saying her name and her realizing I said her name. Nemi is my special girl. She's a very special little creature. Oh my God. See, if I even like scroll through the chat, everything wobbles. This is just a disaster. As per usual, getting back into the swing of things here. Willie Cogley, good to see you. Good to see you too. Ryan Lynn, hi! Welcome, everyone. Nemi, for God's sake, dude, come on now. She's literally like digging through the crinkly paper. that this stuff was packed in to be shipped. So that's gonna, yeah, that's good. I appreciate that a lot. Hi, welcome, scamps. Yeah, I'm not talking to you, Nemi. It's cool. Do whatever. Yeah, I've been busy. I've had a couple pretty significant life changes. But I'm doing better. I mean, I never hid the fact that I had some mental health issues, and I'd kind of gone through a little bit of stuff. Yes. Repeat the last 2 minutes. I don't wanna. Dude, you missed nothing of substance. Come on, you know me better than that. Numbers. Okay, now you get Nemi. Inspecting the decorations I put up for this stream. Okay, just tangent already. This was from like an antique store or something. I don't know. You know, these little like trees with the flocking and the little bulbs glued in. I can't find the box it was sitting on, so that's gonna fall. Are you panicked? Why are you panicked? She's looking at the screen and she's like freaking out. That's really cute. Okay. This is from an antique store. I'm obsessed with globes. And this is actually a Modern Warfare 2 themed fake flower bouquet I made last like winter because I was bored. I put skulls on it. I hot glued all this together. I didn't make a bow because I'm not good at that. But I put the ferns, and I put two, hold on, Nemi. Nobody cares. I put 2 stalks of these, like, whatever these flowers are supposed to be that are black. And, I was really proud of myself. So, that's, I'm gonna try and put that back here without it falling and knocking everything over. I really gotta, when I get things, ma'am, can you move? Can you move your feet? Thank you. Oh my god, this is so precariously. I don't even want to talk about like how everything is propped up here because then you guys will have as bad of anxiety as I do. Okay. Is that fine? Does this need to be more facing you guys? This is terrifying. I just need to leave everything alone. Or does it look better like that? No, that gives me anxiety. Like on PBS when they have the globe in the background of the smart person and this thing, what is this thing called? It's too far in the middle, it gives me anxiety. Okay, nobody cares. That's Nemi. Nemi is I love her very much. Special Nem. Okay, I'll move this way because she's more interesting than me. And those things. Apologies for rambling so much. Gonzo Duke, oh my gosh, how are you? You have a little black globe that's been on your desk in your study for years. I love that. I love globes. I love globes. I love compasses. I'm like obsessed with compasses, and I have been my whole life. Pocket watches, just weird specific things like that. And like antique keys. I have like a ton of antique keys. I'm obsessed with them. And like skeleton keys and stuff. The equator or the light switch. The thing, you know, the thing. Numbers. Maybe she'll camp out up here. So the cats are obsessed with this love seat. This is, yeah, we're getting back into the swing of things. I've been off on like 16 tangents and most of them are lost forever. Scribe, how are you? How have you been? We're gonna have to catch up soon. I'm done with the first season of The Fall. And I think that's all the more I ever watched. So I've heard nobody spoil anything. The Fall with Gillian Anderson and is it the 50 Shades of Grey guy, Jamie Dornan or something? I don't remember his name. Nobody spoil anything or I will come to your house and end you with my bare hands. Yes, thank you. I've heard very bad things about how the quality of the show goes after season 1, which is dismaying because I was riveted to season 1. I think there's a lot of really interesting sort of like socio-political themes brought up in a way that doesn't feel super ham-fisted. And Gillian Anderson is the ultimate MILF, so. Well, it is serious business. I mean, if you're unserious enough to be strangled by me, with, you know, murderous intent. That's maybe not, you might not be a serious person yourself, but, you know, okay, that's, what was I talking about? Nemi, could you put your other end on camera? No, of course not. Silly question. Outfit check. Really? Really? We're doing that? Benny's Gaming Attic. Hello, how are you? Which cartoons have you been watching lately? Hi, Joyce, how are you? I might remember to ask that. Answer that, rather. Put your other end on. Oh my god, dude. Come on. You're terrible. Okay. One thing I want to say here for anybody new, or since I haven't done this in ages, is that I am not bright. I'm bright in ways that are, like, not applicable to real life. I'm bright in the way where, like, after I did my, like IQ and, like, aptitude tests to go into kindergarten, they called my parents in and said she is incredibly gifted in a way where she's going to have a lot of trouble making friends in school. So, like, in a really sad way. So, anyway, you're flex. Okay, I know. All right, come on now. I know I'm the color of cheap printer paper. Like, that's not what I was getting at, but thanks. I appreciate it. I am just terrifyingly, deeply alarmingly scatterbrained. So, minimally exceptional. That's fair, I think, Froman. Thank you. If I know a lot of people have a policy about don't repeat questions in chat. You can repeat questions or comments in chat because there's a huge likelihood that I intended to respond to something or I just didn't see it. So I will not be offended if you repeat something once or twice that you really want me to see. That being said, if you post something like 5 times and I didn't respond to it, there could be a chance that, like, there might be a reason I'm not responding to it. I don't have the mental capacity to answer it. There might be something sensitive going on. You know, as if I'm particularly scandalous or exciting and have a whole bunch of, like, beef going on. How loud was your last fart? I don't remember. I think it was silent. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Willie. I had a lot of fun on SideQuest, and it helped me hugely come out of my shell. Nail check? I mean, they're not pretty. There's not a lot going on here. It's not great. I've got mascara under that one from picking my eyelashes. I don't no. Oh, an 8 decibel one? I will not do that. Thank you. But wedding ring, good catch, but wrong hand. Varian, I quit Twitter about a year ago and I've been feeling a lot happier. Do you think you'd ever be able to escape? That's a good question. Hold on. This is, on the other hand, my old engagement ring is not here. One of the major life changes. These are diamond, but they were just a present from a family member, which was really sweet. And they were also on clearance from Zales, so I don't know. Don't think that I have rich family to rob. Ring tour. This is my Homestuck ring that I had custom made on Etsy because, can you see it? It's not going to focus, is it? Because Solix, Carcat, and Gamzee are my favorites. You can't see it. Oh, where is it focusing? There? Microscopic little zodiac signs. This actually, so I was gifted this. She just robbed Azale's. Bro, come on. Hush. No, I didn't. And if you say that again, we'll have a serious talk. This is, hi Zach, how are you? This is, my brain. You're getting, if anybody is new here or forgot how dumb I am, you're catching up. A Wish version of Zales. That's fairer. Okay. This was my great grandma's brother proposed to his wife with this ring. So this is my like great aunt's engagement ring. I'm sorry. This thing is, like, not focusing anywhere. This phone is an iPhone 11, so that's pretty much what you can expect, I guess. It actually has their initials engraved inside. It's so pretty. And this lady must have had the daintiest hands because I've lost a lot of weight and only now does this fit on my ring finger. But I've kind of been, these are my rings I've been going with because they all kind of match. And then I've got, nobody asked. I have my Capricorn necklace for Gamzee, and then this was actually for Christmas? It's actual topaz. So that was a nice present. Yeah, sorry. Okay, what was going on? Varian asked a good question. Varian is a good name. Again, you guys are propped up horrifically, precariously. You're on a box with like a sweater in it on an ottoman, and it's you're on like a $15 tripod. I think Octane Junkie might have gotten me the first one off of my old wish list. I'm not sure, but I lost it, so I had to rebuy it myself because I'm a fool. Okay. Where the sweater? The sweater in the box? It's cold. I'm not cold. I was sweating bad earlier. I was in a different jacket and I had to change into this one. So, yes, I am going to be doing some makeup today, just because that's what I used to do to hang out. You know, I have to do something, some girly compulsion to keep my nervous energy in check. So I'm going to be touching up the eye makeup and face situation a little bit just for something to do because I love that combination. Yammering endlessly at you poor people and slapping stuff on my face. So I don't use Twitter nearly as much as I used to. And I like it better. I like Twitter in some ways. I do. Okay, I gotta, my compulsions, I gotta do something. I gotta be putting crap on my face or I'm like gonna continue to be this scatterbrained. Twitter's my biggest platform, which is dismaying because Twitter is where I am the most insufferable, I think. You're still in Poe's Discord? Yeah. I think I am too. Yeah, I still am. But I don't know. I've tried to like post things that aren't super depressing or annoying or just clout chasing. Pardon me. You know, just whatever culture war thing is going on if it doesn't resonate with me. But I don't know. I really didn't use it for quite a while and I'm starting to use it a little more. But Twitter's one of those things where it is so depressing that, like, I really have to be mindful about how much I'm on it. I have to be very deliberate about how much time I spend on it and how I use it. I used to really aim for high engagement. Okay. I'll see you around, VGC, whenever you're done doing stuff. Yeah, it makes me mad, too. Like I love Twitter. I love what Twitter's done for me. If it wasn't for Twitter, I wouldn't have met a lot of the people I know. I like making videos on platforms like this a lot more than I like tweeting, but spouting off completely unsolicited and unappreciated and unhelpful opinions on Twitter is kind of my forte, I guess. Nemo. Hi, pretty girl. Come hang out, sweet girl. She's trying to figure out what's going on. They always know when I'm streaming. Like, I talk to myself, but not this much, usually. So, they tend to come over and investigate. Don't eat the cotton balls. Thank you. She's just trying to... She might actually come sit with me. Like, once per business quarter, Nemi sits on my lap, and it's always very confusing and flattering. That's what she's doing. She wants to sit on my lap, dude. That's exciting. Okay. I don't know. The way I use Twitter, how old is the cat? Nimblestein is 6 years old. She and her littermate Mira are my little summer solstice babies. They, I think, were born in June, based on how old the vet thought they were when I got the two of them, the two litter mates. Yeah, she did a little soft meep. Hi, pretty girl. I love Nimble. She's so cute. She is my special girl. She's so petite. She's so petite. I have a lot of cats. She just made this face like of existential crisis. My eye's twitching so bad. I swear you guys should be able to see it. Kittens. So, I have number of cats I have. Nemi and Mira. So Edgar's been around for a long time. I socialized him when he was a stray cat, and I ended up eventually getting him back due to logistical things where he needed to be somewhere safe, somewhere safe to be an indoor-outdoor cat, and because I wanted to take care of him. So Edgar's been around the longest. Ed is like probably 11 or 12, I think. Then I got Nemi and Mira, the litter mates. And then I got Domino and Cambria, who are also litter mates, who are like a year and a half younger than Nemi and Mira. And Roxy, who showed up at 2:30 a.m. on September 11th. What year? 22? Yeah. Whenever I'm going through a really dark patch, you are so cute. Her eyes match all of the green stuff. I feel like one of the ways God gives me a little nudge, like, hey, you know, stop being a baby. There's things you can do to help. There are a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff and things out there going through a lot right now. And if you stop moping, you can actually make a difference. Like he'll nudge a cat in my direction. There are so many like cats and dogs that I've found, and like, you know, you reunite them with their owners, or you end up taking them to like the shelter if you can't find their owners and stuff. But yeah, there have been a couple cats since Roxy, but I'm like over capacity for number of cats any one person should have, you know, so I'm good. Roxy has a huge chunk of her house to herself because she is not someone who can be integrated in with other animals. Not at all. She's adorable, but she hates other cats. So, around 9 to 11. God is a cat launcher aimed at Mort's house. Yeah. I am a cat lady. That's true. I am, in fact, everything that's wrong with society. I can confirm. If you couldn't tell already. Yeah, I thought I saw something I wanted to respond to. I'm sure I did. Have you shown the cat Homestuck yet? And if not, when? I mean, Roxy's named after Roxy Lalonde, because she acts like a Roxy. But I don't know. They're innocent. They're not human beings, but they're still innocent, helpless little things. And I can't do that to them. You know, they can't say no. They don't understand. I have to protect them a little bit from the great horrors of this world. So they have not been exposed to Homestuck a whole lot. I plan to keep it that way. Yeah, it would be too scarring. Thank you. I concur. I am freaking out about how shaky this is, and I'm shaky too. So I gotta eat my nasty protein bar. I apologize. Eek, a cat. Indeed, nerdy rodent. This is Nemi, short for anemone, which she's never been called by anyone ever. She's just Nemi. Yeah, you're my pretty girl. What? You good? You just thinking real hard? You trying? She's got. Do you guys mind if I boogie cam? Hold on. Here, let me get this. Come on, sweet girl. Good girl. Thank you. Okay. I hate when they have eye boogies. I hate them so much. I always try and real gently get them, because I'm like, I know they're annoyed. That tickles so bad. I don't know why she's smelling my hand with such great interest. Okay. But like, I always think like, one, leave them alone. They don't like when you pick at them. But two, what if it goes back in their eye and then it's pokey, you know? So that's how I justify terrorizing them and picking at them. Pardon me for chewing. Not Lalonde is in the Planet from Reality Dysfunction. No. Roxy Lalonde is one of the most endearing characters of all time, I think. And I'm not just saying that because I'm growing into her the older I get. Roxy's such a funny character. Good gato. Sí. She is the best gato. Is mejor like best? I can't remember. Is she a gata? Is it like, I can't remember. I used to be really good at Spanish and I can't remember anything anymore. I was just talking about that the other day. That's better, not best. What is best? I can't remember, Joyce. You can help, can't you? De-snotting cat is why they asked. Okay. Yes. Anyway. I don't know. Yeah, when it comes to Twitter, más mejor. Okay. Like the most superior, the most better, the betterest. Yeah, I gotcha. Thank you. You're my baby. You're so pretty. You're so pretty. She's a good girl. She understands some of what's going on around her. I'd like to think, at least a small amount. So, yeah. Yeah, you know. What else? I don't know. How are you guys? How have you guys been? Yeah, I'm gonna start using Twitter again periodically. More betterer. Precisely. I did, like, through social media, I've made a couple of my very best friends. Like, through SideQuest, I met some of my very best friends. My dog has gas. I'm sorry, Willie. That's unfortunate. That is tragic. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't miss how, like, addicted to social media I was, that's for sure. Not just because it's bad for you, but because then you're outsourcing your sense of self-worth to something that can just arbitrarily, some algorithm can think that you're interacting with too many so-called problematic people and you can just be silenced, and then you feel like your value, your contribution, how interesting you are to your followers has diminished, despite the fact that they're not seeing your stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know sometimes the stuff I post is just not interesting at best. Sometimes it's downright tragic and concerning. But yeah, I taking a step back from how much stock I put in internet stuff, and taking a step back from just a lot of the sort of like culture war sort of stuff going on right now, especially like within conservatism and kind of those spaces, those forums, has been very good for my mental health, because some of the stuff, some of the ideologies that sort of emerge and kind of catch momentum in the turmoil online are not good things for anyone and are incredibly frustrating. So I am pleased to have taken a step back, you know. But thank you for saying I am missed on SideQuest. I do keep in touch with some people from SideQuest, and from what I know, it's been going really well. I hope it goes really well for a long time. And yeah. I feel like I have a giant sippy cup. This thing is huge. Hi, don't apologize for being late. Welcome. I've never been on Twitter. Good for you, Willie. That's a good thing. Hi, Simius. Thank you for showing up. Good to see you. Hello, Tyler Knox. Hello! I'll respond the way you said hello. I like capitals. They always make me happy. I really hope that interview goes well, Orla. I'll be thinking of you guys. You need to stop spending money on mobile games. I have spent a lot of money on mobile games. I don't anymore, but remember Pocket Mortys? It's like the Pokemon, it's like the Rick and Morty version of Pokemon. If I told you how much money I spent on Pocket Mortys back in the day, it would just reinforce why some people want the 19th Amendment repealed. And that's not my stance, so I'm going to keep quiet on all that. If you hear Edgar snoring, yes, that's the cat. My cat is snoring. I apologize for being here. Thank you, Froman. Thank you. Acknowledging the problem and that you are the problem it means a lot. No, I'm glad you're here. Very missed. Thank you, Octane Junkie. I really appreciate that. Oh, my esophagus just made a coyote noise. That's not great. I might need some Imodium for that. Have you done the 50K pages of that one browser story you were doing before? Do you mean the essay I was like writing on Homestuck? The Homestuck webcomic? Because that's been unfortunately on hold for like 2 years. I might finish it. Yeah, so the problem is you get to this certain point in Homestuck, like 7,000, okay, like 5,500 pages in, where you get to the retcon. And I have major problems with the retcon. As you can see from all of my custom jewelry and this abomination that should get me nuked off the planet alone, I care about Gamzee a lot. Gamzee is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's up there with like Jesse Pinkman, which is pretty high up on my list of favorite characters. He's up there with well, anyway. Yeah. The author of Homestuck kind of breaks this character in a way that he's very committed to, that in a way that comes off resoundingly like him just trying to punish and mock all of that character's fans, because he didn't mean for that character to accumulate the amount of fans he did. And there's no way to explain everything about Gamzee without just giving everyone autism. But he's a character. Homestuck, one of the main themes of Homestuck is a lot of it is like time travel and parallel universes and stuff, which I've always been really drawn to throughout my life. And like my whole family is very much into like the time travel parallel universes type of fantasy sci-fi. I'm sorry if you can hear Edgar snoring. He snores as loud as a person sometimes, and I don't know how he doesn't wake himself up. He has like I think he has like a deviated septum or something. I've had him to the vet like 5 times for it, but there's nothing they can do. So just sorry about the cat snoring. But it's so loud. I hope you guys can hear it. It's funny. One of the main themes of Homestuck is fate and inevitability. There are all these different like branching timelines in Homestuck. And if you make the wrong decision, you basically like split and you're no longer part of the like alpha, the main timeline. And if you split off onto another timeline, they kind of like fizzle out of existence, and like you become a non-canon version of yourself if you make a mistake or you make the wrong decision, or you do something to save some of your friends who are not supposed to be saved, and then it like kills that entire branch of the universe basically. Anyway, sorry. See, I'm doing it. I'm getting into it, and I need to stop. I need to pull up. But anyway, a big part of Homestuck is inevitability and trying to escape fate, and it's like these kids are going through this insanely traumatic thing. It's really cool because it's like a space opera. It's like a sort of virtual reality video game type fantasy sci-fi. That's just the way it is woven into this coming of age story is fantastic. But it just makes me mad because the author, he's brilliant. He's a genius. He wrote some incredible stuff. I kind of think he suffers from the same thing that Steve Moffat suffers from, where you got so many genius ideas that like there's no way to tie everything back together in a way that's going to be satisfying to the audience, that's going to give the audience closure and feel like oh, I can't even think of the word. Of course I can't think of the word. It doesn't feel like a satisfying payoff for the audience. So he he wasn't able to rein in his genius enough early on to allow everything to come to satisfying fruition. I don't know how you guys feel about Steve Moffat. I don't watch Doctor Who anymore, but I did a lot for a couple years, like back in high school. I watched it, and it was one of those things where the constraints of the storytelling medium kind of doom these people from the start when they have such ambition and they have so many ideas. And I don't know, it's one of those things, like, it's like so many of these stories that are phenomenal when they start, and then they just kind of like crumble toward the end because the authors, their hubris gets the best of them, you know, early on in the story, I think. Anyway, Andrew Hussey is a genius. He's incredible. He changed the trajectory of internet culture and therefore our entire culture in the US and the West. I do believe that, like, unironically. But I feel like he started hating Gamzee. He hated how many fans Gamzee had. He hated the way they acted about Gamzee. And so, despite the fact that these characters, like, if you don't make the right decisions, everything falls apart and you are single-handedly responsible for everything that's going on, splitting off from the Alpha timeline and then fizzling out of existence while another you is the, like, canon actual version of you that's moving toward the end of the story. It's all about inevitability and fate and trying to fight fate and your destiny and stuff. But he wants you to blame Gamzee for the things Gamzee had to do. Gamzee goes nuts when he realizes basically that he is the messiah of this religion. Spoilers for the webcomic that's, what, 20 years old almost. Gamzee has a psychotic break when he realizes that he is actually the foretold messiah of this religion. And he goes nuts and he does a bunch of awful stuff, but it's like he was right though. He literally was the prophesied, like, god of his religion. So it's like he wasn't wrong. He wasn't insane. It caused him a psychotic break, as it would if you're like a 14-year-old kid or whatever, and you find out, oh, I'm my Jesus. Oh, all right. Like, there's no way to handle that normally. And there's a bunch of other stuff with Gamzee, but, like, the stuff he does is horrible. Some of the stuff he does is indefensible later on in the story, but it's like, I don't know. Andrew Hussey, I think, hated Gamzee, and he wanted to punish Gamzee's fans by making Gamzee suffer. And despite the fact that the whole story is about, like, can I be anything other than what I was destined to be from the start? Do any of my decisions matter? Is there any way to actually be a good person when I am seemingly doomed to do what I have been, like, predestined to do for longer than time itself has existed? You know, you're supposed to just see Gamzee outside of this whole, like, crazy existential philosophical quandary that the whole freaking, like, webcomic is about, and you're just supposed to be like, yeah, but, like, Gamzee's bad and mean. So I don't know. He's one of my favorite characters, and it's like, there's so much to him. There's so much to Gamzee, and I will love him forever. I'm sorry. I love the dumb stoner juggalo alien kid who goes psycho and murders all his friends. I I made this because I thought it would be funny, and when it occurred to me that it would be funny to be the ultimate, like, nightmare white woman, by getting a Stanley Cup, but put a low-res JPEG of Gamzee on it, it's not fun. I'm the only person who thinks it's funny. It is objectively unfunny, but I had to commit to the bit. I spent $50 on this bit, you know? I love Gamzee. He's one of my favorite characters, and I think he's fascinating. The sober Gamzee fan base for a sec. Yeah. Oh, Tyler Knox, by all means, because there were... Fatalism not even once. Yeah. The cat is chilling, lol. Yes, my Nembleyville. I love her so much. My eye's twitching so freaking bad. That's as confusing as what has happened with the whole SCP thing. Yeah, I used to love SCP stuff. Now I feel like it's, I don't know. My dog's name is Balls and he snores like a chainsaw. I want that on like a bumper sticker. Your non-canon version of yourself. And that's freeing, I think, really. He hated Equius too. Dude, as a Sagittarius, I always hope that people are like, why is that woman like in the food court at the mall? Because that's a thing that is a normal place to be. Nobody goes to food courts at malls. I do. I'd like to think that if I'm ever like info dumping about just miserable nonsense like Homestuck to people, that passersby are like, I cannot believe there's so many adults out there who believe in astrology. No, I don't. What I believe in is way worse. Anyway, as a Sagittarius who always really had a soft spot for Equius, I think Hussey kind of hated Equius too. I loved him. I think it counts for a lot that Equius was so racist and had all these like weird hangups, and he had this weird complex about the caste system. And then everything that happens in Homestuck before the 3 year not time skip thing all happens in like a day. It happens in like 24 hours, right? And talking to these people, Aradia, yes, but talking to Nepeta too. Nepeta, however you pronounce it. I always called her Nepeta, sorry. His best friend being someone who was lower on the caste system. Equius got like unracist and unclassist in under 24 hours when he got to meet these people face to face, you know? I love Equius, dude. I'm sorry. I love Equius. My teeth are cracked from clenching my teeth too hard. I need glasses. I sweat an alarming amount. You know, it just is what it is. Hi, Wes. Welcome to the thing. I think it's subjectively good. It's very nice, Mugmort. Thank you. It'll last me forever. Hey, everybody I know who's in their like 50s and 60s has like a Stanley thermos from when they were in like high school, you know? So it was a worthwhile investment, even though it was in the moment me committing to a really stupid bit. Yeah, it's kind of like the sober Gamzee fans back in the day who were like kind of, you know, kind of like me, like a little infirm, maybe up here as well as everywhere else, who kind of got into it in a super cringy way, like the sort of like the Killing Stalking fandom. Maybe I never liked Killing Stalking. Not that any of you read BL. None of you are that deranged, but I never understood the hype around Killing Stalking. I read it and some of it, and I was just like, I don't get this. But it came off kind of like those girls who like attacked their friend and they said like they did it in honor of Slender Man or something. You know, it's like, all right, buddy, you need to like go to Applebee's with like your grandparents and just talk about anything other than the internet for a little bit, you know? Equis and Vriska were your favorites. Vriska's an interesting one for me, for sure. She's an incredibly well-written character. I feel like I've had a Vriska in my life before. The characters are just really well-written. One of the things that's cool about Homestuck is, like, the personality types of a lot of these characters. You know people like that. Everybody knows a Vriska, you know? Everybody knows a Nepeta or whatever. Everybody knows these people. Everybody knows a Solix. You know, they're so incredibly well written that it's like, I think that's part of why like fans of Homestuck and the viewer number is steadily dropping, which I completely respect and understand. Pardon me. I think like part of the reason Homestuck fans got so weird about it and they were so unhinged and vicious and they got so personal in their disagreements with other people who like liked characters they didn't and vice versa. I think it had to do a lot with the fact that like the characters were just so well written early on that like there was no way not for them not to remind you of somebody you knew growing up. And I think those connections are so strong and they're so easy to make because the characters were so well written that I sincerely think that's a big part of why people would take it so personally if like a character liked Vriska and like didn't have any sympathy for Tavros or something like that, you know? I don't know. Does that make any sense? As a typical Sagittarian, we don't believe in astrology. So like, okay, I'm gonna start doing stuff to my face because I want to do some makeup. That'll be fun. I'm going out to dinner later this afternoon, so like I might as well do the rest of my face. So it's not just like the drag queen eyes, but it is in fact also a full face of goo. You know how it works. You know how it is. I'm gonna spray this away from the kitty. She's very sensitive to stuff being sprayed, so I try not to get anything near her where she'll smell it. Okay, this is my Dr. No, Thayer's. This is my Thayer's Rose Petal Witch Hazel, everybody. That's gonna be my toner for the day. Sorry. Nope, that's not funny. Yeah, I like doing ridiculous makeup. Sometimes I do it lighter, but I just like doing tasteless, like Shadow the Hedgehog ass makeup. I'm sorry. It's fun, you know? I am, life is a circus and I am the clown. And you know, it's quite freeing to embrace that, I think. It really is. Do I have a mirror? Yeah, I have some eyeshadow things with mirrors. What else is going on? Oh, hey. Hi, Alex. It's a cat and a Mort. Indeed. She's a good little girl. Are you a good girl, Nimblestein? You're so pretty. Yeah. She sees the chats popping up. You can't really? Well, I'm glad I made you laugh. That's generally one of my goals. I don't know. What else has been going on? What did you guys mention earlier that I started answering and then got off track from? I showed my great aunt's engagement ring. My grandma's mom's brother proposed to his wife with this ring. And I moved my arm and she's so cute, I can't stand it. Okay. Yeah, it was really an honor to get it. Also, I just have small fingers, so it fits. But what else you guys want to talk about? What's going on in the world? You should try the Mizzen skincare range. Not terribly expensive, but well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really admire all the like Patrick Bateman girlies who do like 20 steps of skincare. I have tried. Excuse me while I put this up in front of the camera so I can see what I'm doing. I'm just putting like layers of goo over the existing goo. So I'm sorry you have to see that. My face is a petri dish and the government should probably compensate me somehow for all of the strange new species of bacteria that I am breeding. Or maybe they should pay me to stop, really. I'm sorry, this is so wobbly. But Spooky did help me. She showed me some really good, like, cleansers you can use to get, you know, the dead skin and the makeup off that are good for sensitive skin and stuff. You were using them despite your ex at his wedding. That's awesome, Orla. I love that. But yeah, my skin is so sensitive that I can't use a lot of, like, I don't know, stuff. But I'm lucky too. Like, I'm 31 and I finally have stopped getting like really bad acne. It took a long time for it to calm down. It took a long time. And as you can see, I have the complexion of a cheeseburger. I'm very greasy, so that'll, I guess, help my skin look youthful longer. And also, I have the bone structure of Tony Soprano's dipshit nephew, so that helps Everything is like stretched taut over this nightmare, so it helps with looking a little more youthful, I suppose. Distilled witch hazel works wonders. I never knew anything about it. Cause I like, I don't know. Nobody in my family or like my friends talked about what they washed their faces with or moisturizers or sunscreen or anything. I'm still not used to people calling it SPF instead of sunscreen, so sorry. I like this. It smells lemony, this concealer. I just put it on my eyelids a bunch, and then I put on my, yeah, eyeshadow over it. Okay. But yeah, witch hazel is good for a lot. Does it have anti-inflammatory properties, or like why does it like soothe your skin? I don't know why. I don't know like what in it works. It smells good though. At least this kind with the rose junk in it smells good. I'm 32 and look 45. Lol, I should probably moisturize. You could. It wouldn't hurt anything. I don't know. I don't moisturize my face a lot. Sometimes I do. The more crap I put on it, the more it starts peeling. Dumb Bench Hour says you should check out Flower Nose. It's a very pretty makeup brand. I will. Okay, Tyler's talking about the local Homestuck fandom, like community there. Back in the day, long story short, before I got started cosplaying, I tried to get someone to cosplay the OC in my profile picture to show her off. People took it the wrong way, but they took it way too far. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's not cool. It's just stuff like that is tough, you know. It's easy to get misunderstood for sure in certain spaces. It's easy for your intentions to get misunderstood. You know, I think people are on such high alert for anything untoward that like people can kind of jump the gun and have pretty like uncharitable interpretations of things. I don't know. It's tough. I know some people who've been like ousted sort of from their like local cosplay communities and different things like that for weird things where at least from the perspective presented to me by my friends, it seems to be like completely unfounded and unfair, you know, and it just, I don't know. It's just sad, you know, a lot of social situations, majority rule, and whoever is the most influential sometimes has more of an effect on who gets like sort of ostracized or accepted or forgiven, or who has things overlooked that maybe they shouldn't, the way they treat their other friends or whatever. You know, it is unfortunate how much that has an effect, you know, in certain social settings. Hello, Dragon S19, welcome. How are you doing? Now, well, I admit I shouldn't have had people cosplay my OC. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's unfortunate. Have to get ready for an anime con today. You're cosplaying as Rin from Fate. Sweet. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that, Tyler. That just sounds, it sounds shitty. And stuff like that is hard too, because like sometimes, I mean, like you'll see all these stories online where somebody gets like somebody gets accused of something, and sometimes they did it, you know, and then sometimes they didn't. And like I feel like unless stories are very high profile, you know, people don't, their rebuttals or whatever their defense is doesn't get a lot of traction, you know. It just, it sucks, and I'm really sorry to hear that. Have you tried low volume peroxide in deionized water and stabilizing your water via distillation or deionization? I have not. I will look into that. Never been to a con. I'm always busy. Do you attend anime cons? It says Dumb Binge Hours. I have. I went to Anime Matsuri the last 2 years in a row. And I had not been to a convention in like 10 years before that. I did enjoy it. I don't know if I'm going back this year. I'm just not sure yet. I was thinking about characters but to potentially cosplay. Um, and I just really like the location there. I can't tell if my burp is what just alarmed her or what. I'm going to one in May. I'm just going to dress eccentric. Good for you. That's one of the things too. It's really nice. My foot's asleep. I've been sitting badly. It's one of the no, I don't want to say one of the few places because people are maybe this isn't true, but it feels like to me people are learning maybe not to mind their own business. People are still like kind of judgy and people will still like be jerks. You know how every once in a while you see somebody like just minding their own business and doing absolutely nothing of consequence or harm to anybody, and somebody will post them on TikTok or Instagram making fun of them. Like there are still jerks who do stuff like that, but I feel like the internet causing all of these sort of like subcultures and different like fashion subcultures to flourish. There are so many different ways that it's acceptable to like look and present yourself that I do feel like some of the younger generations are somewhat less like judgmental, you know? So that is how I feel about that, obviously, being that that's what I just said. But I still do feel like anime conventions are one of the more fun places to just be yourself. You know, you're not gonna get side-eyed for dressing in a unique way there, you know, because there's a lot going on. And people I do feel like in general, like at conventions, people are welcoming and decent. And you feel like you're in your element around those people, you know? I've been gone making ribs. Repeat everything for the last 30 minutes, says Froman. No, I will not do that. What else? I've been pretty good, Dragon S19. Sorry to answer that so late. My eyes feel funny from all the stuff that's on them now. Also, my eye will not stop twitching. My left eye has been twitching for days. And every time it stops, then I'll have like a sneezing fit and it'll start again. Or something. Yeah, it's not great. It's annoying. And some like minutely inconvenient thing will happen and then it just starts twitching again. And I'm like, well, it stopped for about 14 hours, but you know, it's back. The last one, you got asked you were cosplaying when you were like just a goth. So gross. I'm sorry. Hold on. My blood sugar is steadily sinking, so I gotta eat my disgusting protein bars that even fish don't want. Yeah, they're not great. When I cosplayed Gaz at this past anime Matsuri, I thought I was going to get mistaken for Raven and Jiro from My Hero Academia. One person did think I was cosplaying Jiro, which makes sense because it's like the short purple bob and like the dark outfit, you know? So I had to explain to her, I'm Gaz, and she was like, oh, and it was kind of awkward and I felt bad. But that's the only time I've ever been mistaken for cosplaying someone else. Tasty protein bars are called beef jerky. I love beef jerky. There's some that are less awful. Yeah. They're not disgusting. They're just really not great. But, I don't know. I always carry protein bars with me. Kefki, hi! How are you? How are you doing today? Has everybody said how you're doing? I was serious when I asked how everyone was. Completely. Yes. Should I put gold eyeshadow on? I don't know. I'm pretty good. Choking on a protein bar, but that's okay. One of the healthier things to choke on, I guess. Not really. And everybody's good. Nemi's good. Hi, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you, honey. Hi, Nemi. Nemi's good. This is a good place for to be if you want to see creatures. So, are you good? Okay, she's so cute. Everybody's pretty good. Everybody's doing well. Let me see. Oh my gosh, everything that this is like stacked on is so wobbly. It's incredibly anxiety-inducing. Willie's okay. Well, that's good. You could be worse, and I hope that tomorrow is even better. Okay, it didn't like every time I say that at the end of one of my videos or streams, like, you know, try to make tomorrow even better. Didn't Hamtaro's owner, the little girl, say something like that? Like today was today was great, but tomorrow's going to be even better, and she'd like give him a little kiss and put him in the cage or something. Was that a thing? Because every time I say that, I think of that. I have a bunch of Hamtaro on DVD. One of my like best IRL friends got a bunch of it for me years ago, actually. Bucky's. Yes, Octane Junkie. You're getting by, says T-Sips. Good. I hope you're doing all right. I do hope it doesn't seem like annoying and disingenuous when I say this stuff. I really do hope that you guys are doing okay. And okay, I'm a little behind on the chat. Sorry. I'll try and catch up here. But I just I don't know, as someone who's dealt with a shit ton of depression throughout my life and just kind of various stereotypical first world struggles, I just think that sometimes it can be beneficial to have somebody who you know isn't talking down to you and has been through a little bit of difficulty too, reminds you, like, you know, life sucks. Life can really suck. And it's okay to not be like super cheerful all the time. That doesn't make you defective. That doesn't mean you're like backsliding into being miserable or something. It doesn't mean that you're, you know, like a professional victim or a defeatist or something. But there's always something you can do to make your day a little bit better, you know? And there will always be better times ahead if things feel crappy now, and if things have been crappy for so long that you feel like you're just stuck in a rut. Things will change, you know? You just gotta try to keep your head up. Don't beat yourself up. If you're like feeling lousy too, does anybody say lousy anymore? Does it mean like lousy, like a louse? Something to Google later. Don't beat yourself up too, you know? Like I feel like it's kind of more like right-wing culture, which I've been immersed in for much of my life. If you ever feel down, you're kind of looked at like you're just being a victim and being a baby. And it's like, you're allowed to feel down. That doesn't make you a failure. That doesn't make you a baby. Feeling your negative emotions does not make you, you know what I'm saying? No, you don't, because I'm not finished saying it. But yeah, acknowledging that you feel down sometimes doesn't make you a wimp. You know, it doesn't make you a beta or something. And it's just, I don't know. I think sometimes it can be worth it to kind of buoy others up and remind people, like, you know, things will get better if you're in a crappy situation, and it's always worth the effort, you know, to try and have a better day tomorrow and a better week this coming week. So, you know. What else? Let me see. Orla started snacking on jerky to help with anemia. And then you started because of a lack of B vitamins. Isn't that great? Like, you fixed the problem so it had to like reoccur for another reason. It's like whack-a-mole of like medical issues. Let me say. C. Wrong vowel sound. Thanks, Kafki. I really appreciate that. I want to cheer people up. If there's any way I can cheer people up, whether you're laughing with me or at me, or it just distracts you from your own misery to stare at the grotesque spectacle of my existence, I feel like I've done my job if I make people a little happier. Hello, Alan. You've missed a bunch of just like aimless yammering on as per usual. You still say lousy. That makes me feel better. Lousy or crabby. Yeah, those are both things that you don't want, Anya. They evoke feelings of unpleasantness for sure. I tried to juggle yogurt. Yoplait whipped key lime pie yogurt the other day from it, and I dropped one on my foot like immediately when I started trying, so I stopped and I was very ashamed. Yeah, and Willie said what helps me get through every day is just realizing the day could always be, whoops. Sorry. I'm trying to scroll down and I almost reported your comment. Sorry, dude. Okay, crisis averted. That's something that helps too. And I think about that a lot. Like, I can kind of pull myself out of feeling like crap by reminding myself of like how bad some people's issues are. Something that always motivates me is the realization I had like a while ago, just putting it in this like perspective. It occurred to me one day that like there are women in impoverished countries who would give their lives for their children's worst problems that they will ever face to be the worst problems that I ever face. You know? Like there are mothers who would sacrifice everything they have to give their children a shot at my life. And it's like that always tends to compel me to be grateful more. But it's also one of those things where it's tough because it's like a lot of the things that people say that come off as insensitive to somebody who's going through a tough time, they're true, you know, like things could be worse. There are people who have it so much worse. And it's like factually you know those things to be true, but when somebody else says it, it just tends to make you feel worse because you're aware of that. You know, you're part of how depression like compounds upon itself, I think, is people feeling guilt that they have depression. They feel guilt and shame, and they know it's not logical. They know that it feels as if it's a lack of perspective almost. And so it's just hard because it's hard to know what to say to try and cheer people up. And it's hard too because it's like the things that people say to cheer you up, they can be completely true, but if they don't come from within, if somebody else says them to you, it just feels like they're like bonking you on the head with a hammer, you know, in their attempts to assist. You know. Hi Horror and Hellfire. How are you? I hope you have a wonderful day. But yeah. You know, Orla said that's because people can perceive that as your problems are not worth caring about. Yeah. Yeah, it's just tough too, because it's like you don't want to be ungrateful. And I think it's always important to remember people's intentions. You know, some people are just being disdainful and they're trying to make you feel guilty by telling you other people have it so much worse. But a lot of people genuinely don't know what to say or do to help you feel better. You know, and they might not say the right things. And it's hard because depression is this insidious thing where it takes the most objectively helpful, kind, uplifting things, and it finds the most creative ways to twist them into just rerouting and reaffirming that you're worthless and it's pointless to try, you know? It's incredible. Depression fascinates me because it can come from just not producing enough serotonin in your brain. It can be just a purely chemical thing. but it feels like an entity. It doesn't feel like something could be that incredibly, like, creatively insidious if it's not sentient, you know? And that is how I segue into saying that I think mental illness is demon. No, not really. Um, I think it's fascinating. Like, depression feels like there's a little man inside of you who really doesn't like you and has a lot of free time, you know? Wow, surviving a couple near-death experiences helped me see the good side of life. Yeah. Yeah, that can certainly help. Um, that's for sure. It can help with perspective. Sometimes a boop can be a bonk. Indeed, I concur. It's the demons in your blood. You need the leeches. Is that... Oh my god, who is it? It's not the Wonder Years. What band always uses the lyric, the demons in my bloodstream, to talk about, like, intergenerational, like, alcoholism or something? Is it the Wonder Years? What's his name? Dan Campbell? What band is his band? I can't remember. Yeah, that's interesting, Kefki. I don't know. I think it's interesting how... I don't know. I really don't know, you know? Um, I think the ways that we overcome hardship and trauma are incredible. I think our minds are incredible, and what can come from those things, the wonderful things that can come from horrible things, the ways we can turn horrid things into wonderful things is incredible. Nemi's itchy. She was itchy. I think she got it though. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how the analysis that people can come up with for stuff like that, you know? Yeah, Orla is talking about how anxiety and PTSD can cause inflammation, I guess. Is that a fair summary of what you're saying? Yeah, it does alter your brain structure. Yeah, I think that's fascinating. That one book, The Body Keeps the Score, I read that the whole thing years ago in a Barnes and Noble and then put it back on the shelf. And it's kind of cool to see books like that in grocery stores now, you know? It's cool to see people starting to understand that being under a lot of stress for prolonged periods of time does change you biologically. I got in a huge fight with somebody about this a couple of years ago. Just trying to explain to them that no, it changes your biology. And I believe one of the things that researchers discovered is that, like you were saying, like, if you're under high amounts of stress, you're producing a ton of cortisol all the time. And prolonged exposure to cortisol can cause inflammation, right? Like chronic unhealthy levels of inflammation. And I thought something I read somewhere, it could have been in that book or some other literature somewhere. I thought that severe levels of inflammation, like long term, I take a sip from my Gamsey cup, can cause can damage your DNA. And then when damaged DNA replicates more and more damaged DNA, like, that does cause a breakdown of the way organ systems are supposed to function, right? My Raynaud is triggered by more anxiety than temperature. That's interesting, furry. Furry kitten. Yeah, I understand that, Willie. I understand that. You're remembering the last time you remembered. Yes, it is kind of like a game of telephone in your own mind, Orla. Yeah, that's fascinating. That's really interesting, Scamps. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it is weird. And it's just, I don't know. Life is hard. You know, it's hard because you try so hard to be a collection of traits that are things that you yourself cultivated, you know, but there inevitably are always going to be ways that the world changes you, you know, not, it will never have control of your entire person. Trauma or heartbreak or anything like that, it'll never change every aspect of who you are, but it does feel like they're like little dings in the structure that is you as a person, you know. But I think I know that you're so pretty. She heard the sump pump and was very alarmed by it. It's been here for forever, but she was still very alarmed by it in that moment. You're so soft. I want to touch her little soft belly, but then she'd be very offended. Oh, Emmy. I love her so much. She's a good kitty. But I think, okay, what was I saying? Finish the sentence you started 7 minutes ago, Michelle. I think I understand why people talk about how the idea of like mental illness and stuff is too normalized. I understand and can appreciate the criticism of the fact that like people, especially younger people, have been taught to identify themselves based on their mental illnesses, you know, and that does suck. Like, I see some of this stuff like pop up in my like recommendations, my homepage on YouTube, where it's like there are people kind of doing the like making these rounds who do interviews with like Jordan Peterson. I've seen pop up, and like I think I've seen stuff from Joe Rogan, people he's talked to who talk about how we've like over pathologized people to where people will talk about like depression as if it's their identity, you know. Things like that, or like if somebody has PTSD or I don't know, schizophrenia or any all manner of conditions that can affect us. I do think that there's been kind of a very unhealthy cultural emphasis that kind of came from like that whole really, really toxic like underbelly of Tumblr, where people do make basically the results in our brains of bad things that happen to us, they make that their identity. And it is unfortunate when people do that, because it's kind of like you're allowing bad things that other people did to you define who you are. You know, instead of like me, for example, saying I'm a person who struggles with major depressive disorder. I'm a person who has incredibly ridiculous amounts of anxiety. Um, like if you can kind of distance the way you perceive those things from who you are, like I'm a person who deals with this, or I'm a person who's going through this. If you can remind yourself that that is not the entirety of who you are, that's not a label on your forehead, I think changing your mindset about how integral of like a facet of you those things are can help with dealing with those things. It can help you not feel doomed to be controlled and defined by those things, you know? So I understand, like, I'm seeing all these sort of like conservative type commentators right now talking about how too many people have gone to therapy, too many kids have gone to therapy, too many kids have gone to therapy that doesn't help them. Like, kids will be sent, not just kids, but people will be sent to therapists, and those therapists, their goal isn't to assess you to help you come up with coping skills to overcome these issues or handle these issues better or avoid going through these same patterns of issues in the future. A lot of therapists seemingly don't ever have you like markedly improving and becoming happier and healthier and more in control of yourself and your life in the future. They don't really seem to have that as a goal. You know, there are a lot of therapists out there who seem to think of therapy as like going to an endocrinologist, or a woman going to an OBGYN. You got to go every year to make sure you don't have like cervical cancer or something, you know? Like, I don't know. I'm of the school of thought, so to speak. My eyeball is twitching so hard trying to like build coherent sentences in my brain. Oh, challenging. Uh I've always thought that like everybody could benefit from therapy at some point in their lives. You know, I think I think the stigmatization of therapy is stupid and counterproductive, and it doesn't help anybody, you know? Or like, maybe another way to put it is that everybody at some point in their life would benefit from having an outside perspective, you know, not talking to your dad or your brother who grew up in the same household, or your uncle or your aunt or a friend that's known, you know, everybody at some point in their life can benefit from seeking an outside, more objective viewpoint and analysis of what they're going through. I don't know. I just think I understand that like therapy and stuff like that can very much be counterproductive. You know, people can make the bad things that happen to them their identity. And if you are over pathologized, if that I think I know what that phrase means. I think I'm using it correctly. How it can just kind of train people into feeling like they are doomed to be defined by this bad thing for their whole lives, when it's like, that's not fair to you, and it's not accurate either. It's not true that you have to be defined by some bad thing someone else did to you your whole life, you know? I do think that, at least kind of in the US, it seems to me like therapy has kind of lost the objective of teaching people to become healthier and happier, better at regulating their own emotions, better at navigating bad situations and avoiding certain bad situations that might have been repeating patterns they were stuck in the past, or that are like intergenerational patterns, you know? Yeah, it's like some therapists seem to almost have a nihilistic view, like, well, you're doomed to need to come talk to me to be able to figure out your problems every week or every month for the rest of your life. And it's like, I don't know that that's the case for all people. You know, I would think, having taken intro to psych once and getting like a B+ in it in college, I would think that what would be the most beneficial for a lot of people would be for your therapist to approach these issues as like, all right, let's get an assessment of what's going on in your life, your perceptions of yourself and these things, and how you get into these situations, or how you ended up in the situations you're in, some context about your family, your upbringing, health issues you may have had, where you were educated, what your religion was. Let's get a good picture of what's going on in your life and where you're at mentally, and then you can learn how to kind of categorize these things and catch them when you're going into these negative thinking patterns or these self-destructive patterns. So you're able to kind of choose another way to go about these things, or retrain yourself, catch yourself thinking bad things about yourself, and recognize those thoughts as just thoughts, and then choose to practice thinking something more self-affirming, or something acknowledging that your capabilities to overcome bad things, you know? I think it would be beneficial if more therapists approached their relationships with clients or patients, whatever, as, let's get an assessment of where you're at, and I will help you learn some coping skills to empower you to overcome these situations and maybe get out of some of the bad ones, so you can be happier and healthier and more. So you have the toolkit, the internal psychological toolkit to navigate these things yourself. So you get to a point where you are able to be more defined by your character and your strengths and what you love and all the things that you've worked to achieve in your life. So you are less defined by bad stuff that happened to you, like happens to all of us, that we can't control or prevent, you know? Did any of that make sense? Was any of that even marginally coherent? I don't know. I don't know how my poor cat is sleeping through this. She was not asleep. There we go. Oh, honey, is your eye itchy? Did you get it? Here, let me get that. I want her to put that eye boogie back in her eye. I think they suffer from seasonal allergies too, a little bit. Mira's been sneezing. Mira's my sneezy baby. Oh, Nemblestein. You got some itchy eyes, honey? Oh, honey, you got itchy ears too? Okay, that's better. There. Okay, she's doing okay. I love her so much. She's a good girl. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. I know what I mean to say. I just don't know if any of it comes out making sense. So I appreciate that, you know? Life hack, breaking your neck sucks. I think that's fair, Willie. I think that is a good assessment. I will defer to your expertise on this, being someone whose neck has not been broken, you know? Yeah, I understand, Simius. It's a good maybe conversation starter, you know, uh, for later, perhaps. Mental health sorry, Orla, I'm reading your stuff out of order. That's not helpful. Kickboxing used to be your therapy. That's cool too. Yeah. The point of therapy and psychologist is to ever tell them the truth. Therapy doesn't always help. Well, that's true. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not going to be able to catch up on everything you said. I'll watch it later. I'll rewatch your... Okay. Relevant question. Is live chat replay a thing anymore? Am I just too stupid to know how to get to it when I watch somebody's stream later? Let me see. Scamp said, how long ago? 6 minutes ago-ish. The balance of not allowing your mental illness to define you while also remaining consciously aware of how it influences and can overwhelm you is real hard. It is. I feel like life is always a battle. Life is always this complicated, ever-changing challenge, you know, and something I've definitely excuse me, that was like foamy. In recent years, I have gotten over a lot of pretty horrible things I went through, pretty difficult things, that all kind of like tied back into my self-worth and my level of hopelessness versus willingness to try to improve my own life. And something dismaying that should have been obvious to me, should have been apparent from the get-go, is like, I have to pee so bad. I don't know if I can trust you guys to sit here for like 30 seconds, but we'll try in a little bit, probably. I hope you guys don't. If there was a way to like shoot a flamethrower from my phone, I know you would. Probably not at Nemi, but like just because it's funny. I feel bad. I'm keeping her from being able to sleep well. But what was I saying? I was onto something. I had a full like thought. Yes, I remember the thought. It does replay. Okay, eventually. I gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's something dismaying that's like, duh, you idiot, is that like, as you overcome various issues, whether it's like self-sabotaging, like internal monologues where you just feel hopeless and pessimistic and you don't trust anybody, and you're not willing to really invest in any one like situation or whatever, or endeavor because you don't think it'll be worth it, it won't turn out well because of your own incompetence or whatever it may be. As you overcome those things, as you kind of successfully retrain yourself out of these really awful like cycles of negative defeatist thinking that you've been stuck in, you as in me, obviously, this speaking from experience, there's always something new. There's always some new, weird, annoying thing that arises. And I don't know if it's just because my brain hates me. I don't know if there's a little man in my brain who's like there's me, there's my like conscious train of thought on a treadmill. And there's this dude, there's this other me who's just like throwing rocks. And once I like dodge one and it falls off of the treadmill, it just throws a nut. Like, is that what's going on? Is it just my own brain? I think it is. For me, I think it's my own anxiety and my own fear that something is going wrong. Something is always going horribly wrong. And if you're not mentally braced for something to go horribly, catastrophically wrong, the only thing that not being in that borderline fight or flight mode all the time is going to do is mean that you're going to be devastated and unprepared when the bad thing happens. You know, it's like I'm in the state of hypervigilance, to overshare. You're welcome. Because there were bad things that happened to me routinely enough growing up to where my coping skill, my really bad maladaptive coping skill, was to sort of subconsciously develop this belief that like something is always on the cusp of going horribly wrong. So you just have to be on guard and never relax, never enjoy anything, never get invested in anything ever, because all that's going to do is mean you're going to be caught unawares when everything crumbles down. Whenever whatever this thing is, whatever aspect of your life it is, just totally like falls apart. So you have to be like on guard and you have to hold everything at a distance. That's like, I think that's where it comes from for me. I think that's where every time I overcome something, something new comes up. It's like, um, I think maybe because I'm approaching these like various like specific like life specific issues or like situationally specific issues, as opposed to maybe kind of like attacking the overarching issue of like my brain always trying to make me hyper vigilant to protect me from ever like just relaxing and feeling like everything is okay and that I'm capable enough to handle everything. Does that make sense? I'm just going to ask that after every thought I finish and pray that you guys say yes instead of no. But thank you for having faith in me. I appreciate that. You just have to click it. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it, dude. Also, welcome. I don't know if I said hi to you yet. Yeah. Life gives you lemons. Hi! Squirt lemon juice in everyone's eyes. Exactly. That is exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. Oh, what is that, Orla? Okay, that plus a lot of alexithymia. So I don't know when I'm anxious until it's externally viable. I need to know what that is because I feel like I probably have it. That's one thing too. Like I'm not good at assessing like, hey, you're doing really bad. You're like not holding it together well, until like my brain is short circuiting to where my eyeball won't stop visibly twitching, to where like this half of my vision is like jerking because my eyeball is being jerked like around in the socket by the muscle spasms around it, you know? Like I'm not, that's another thing. Like grounding exercises, mindfulness stuff is so crucial. And I hate how like goopy woo woo like out there like left field charging my yoga crystals that language has become, because like mindfulness is one of the most incredibly powerful things you can do to help get yourself out of your mind when that anxiety or anger or fear starts kicking up, you know? Just the cliche exercise of like, close your eyes, take some breaths, and I don't remember the order of these things. I don't know where my DBT workbook is, and I can't Google because you guys there are little men in my phone who are interrupting me right now. You're impeding my ability to do other things. Hi, welcome back. Like the thing where you're like supposed to take some deep breaths, focus on your breaths, and then like, what is it? Try to feel 5 different textures around you. I just put my hand in my eyeshadow palette, gonna close that and try again, you know? Try to listen until you can identify like 4 different sounds you can hear. Like I can hear my tinnitus. Is that a real sound? I don't know. There is a kind of tinnitus you can actually hear in other people's ear holes, which is wild. Didn't know that until recently. Did you know William Shatner almost like Minecrafted himself because his tinnitus used to be so bad? I thought that was interesting. I have bad tinnitus. I'm going to just cheat and say my tinnitus is one of my things I can hear. I can hear her licking herself. I can hear this clock ticking. I can hear that clock ticking. You know, like identify 4 things you can hear. Then try to identify like 3 things you can smell, right? Things like that, you know? Those grounding exercises that bring you out of being trapped way in here, that bring you back to the awareness of your physical form and everything around you. It brings your focus from like down in here out to the forefront of the actual world, you know? It helps you gain perspective on the fact that like everything going on in my brain is in there. It's not the real world, you know? And there's like a deep breathing, sort of like progressive muscle relaxation thing that I do that helps me, like life changing, immensely helpful, that actually a pediatrician taught me because my anxiety was so bad when I was little that I went to doctors because my mom's like, can you fix my child? Not, you know. But I've been pretty lucky too to be surrounded by people in my life who um taught you that you're not a victim. You are not defined by the bad things that happen to you, but they also took these kinds of things seriously. You know, I was never told that I was being a baby or melodramatic when I had issues. You know, like there's something chemically awry in my brain that happened to much of my family. Um, so I may need SSRIs at different points in my life, you know, because of a chemical imbalance in here. Like, it's not me making things up. It's not me just feeling sorry for myself. Like, I've been very blessed to have a lot of people surrounding me who kind of gave me a good balanced view of that stuff, you know? And it's just kind of dismaying the way things have gone now because kind of as a reaction to the sort of like Tumblr culture of like my identity is my mental illnesses and my physical illnesses and my sexuality, and it's just really sad. There are all these people who like, well, what are your hobbies? You know, like what would you put on like a Bumble profile? What do you like to do? Are there any sports you like? Do you like painting? What genre of music do you like? You know, is there anything you like to collect? Uh, you know, is there any like interesting like philosophy? Are there any books you read? Are there any particular movies you like? Is there a director you like? Like, are there just things like that, you know? Like, these people have been taught to define themselves based on things that have no bearing on your character or your work ethic or the things that bring you joy. And it's sad, you know? And because of that whole like horribly toxic thing that kind of started growing around Homestuck times, you know, 15 years ago or so. My eye's twitching so hard right now. Then you have this is my left and this is my right, just for reference. I don't know if it's that way for you. I think it's mirrored for you guys, right? I'm too dumb. I can't do this. I don't know. But then you see kind of some of the older people on the conservative side now are kind of like reverting to how like our great grandparents were, the idea that like suck it up, if you're not bleeding you're not hurt. You know, you don't need to go to a doctor if there's not like if your femur's not sticking out, if I can't see your marrow, you don't need to go to a doctor, you're being a baby. Like, because of how overly pathologized, to just keep overusing that phrase, that I think like, I don't know, um somebody on like a Joe Rogan podcast used that phrase or something I heard recently. um the reaction from the other side, who is rightfully skeptical of and critical of this way overdoing it with mental health awareness stuff, um they've kind of like they reverted to, how do I word it, my eyeball's twitching so hard. um they reverted to basically thinking that all therapy is bad, all therapists are bad and nefarious. Any diagnosis you could possibly get of something is just dooming you to define yourself by that diagnosis, which is like, that is not true. That is not true at all, you know? Um, I understand we have a lot of people have a tendency to overanalyze their own feelings. Um, and you can kind of, oh, what is the word? I can't think of words. You can kind of outsource the solutions to your problems by saying like, well, I have this issue and this issue and this issue, and therefore treatment or solutions to help myself overcome those issues would come from this specific kind of therapy or this specific medication or this specific kind of like, you know, like weird like holistic like pagan yoga retreat thing that I can only do if I pay $300 for this class in Nevada or something. Like, now I know I'm not making sense, so I'm not even going to ask. I don't want to know the answer. But I do think that over analyzing and kind of like what is the word? Being too technical about our own self-analysis can be counterproductive, you know? I understand that. Um, but it's just dismaying because there's like, it's silly to characterize myself as normal, but there are people who are a little more reasonable and intellectually honest about this stuff. We're all kind of like floating around in here. And then there are people over here who think that it's healthy to define yourself like solely by bad things that happen to you that don't actually make up your character and your individuality and who you are. And then there are these people over here who think that like all medication, all SSRIs, for example, are bad. All therapists are nefarious, and nobody ever needs to go to a counselor to help make sense of their problems. You know, stuff like that. And it's I'm losing my voice. We're getting to the point. This is early on in a stream for me to be losing my voice. I'm really out of practice here, but it's dismaying to see how yeah, the main political ideologies that people align themselves with, like in America, for example, um, have very kind of unreasonable, uncharitable views of these subjects in general, you know? Sorry, I'm losing my voice, and I'm so behind on the chat. This is what happens, you see. Yeah, Orla says that pendulum effect has always been there when it comes to politics. Add when it comes to old versus new. That's very true. Let me see. I'm sorry I missed so much of what you guys said. I apologize. Willie said, I like death metal music and add black metal and any kind of metal, to be honest. I like some death metal. I like new metal. I like a lot of metalcore stuff, and some post-metal stuff too. But that's an awesome hobby to have. That's so much better. Having hobbies like that and being able to identify that and knowing that that is a bigger part of your personality than bad things that happen to you, or intentionally making those things a greater part of your identity at the forefront of who you are and who you think of yourself as than the bad stuff. It like that's what we should be doing. I think that's how we become happier, and I think that's how we kind of I hate saying we because it makes me feel icky and like condescended to. I feel like a kindergarten teacher is talking to me when I'm like, and now we put on our face primer. Like, no, lady, you're doing that. Like, bitch, you're doing that. Who's we? The royal we? Like, who are you talking about? You know, sorry. But I do think that's a good way that one can consciously, like, you can consciously shift your mindset toward kind of an attitude of like self-actualization and being able to proactively kind of define who you are and take some control over who you are, as opposed to this sort of like perpetual victimhood mentality, like the really toxic Tumblr mentality that we've seen kind of evolving throughout the years. I have to pee. I'm gonna have to leave soon to go potty, but I'll be back. I'm not gonna end the stream, I don't think. Let me see. Ryan said something that I somewhat agreed with. Let me find it. If you run to someone else to validate your injury, pain, anguish all the time, you don't learn how to deal with it. You need to, the chat jumped, be able to deal with some things on your own. Oh, yeah, I do agree with that, absolutely. And I think that, like, I think that should be the objective of therapy. You know, every situation is different. There are always going to be things where you might need to see someone more regularly or more long term. But I think a lot of people have issues that could be largely addressed. Their quality of life and their ability to navigate and overcome these issues could be addressed pretty adequately if they went into seeking out help, or they went into looking for help themselves through like self-help books or whatever it may be that you do, like with the objective of I need to understand a little better what's going on with me, why I'm thinking this way, what's contributing to this that I could maybe address or distance myself from or whatever. Um and having the mindset of I am going to seek out tools. I'm going to seek out techniques, methods, various approaches that I did not have prior that will allow me to take a different approach, take a different path in the future when confronted with these same issues, you know? Like, there should be an attitude of, I want to better myself. I want to figure out how to maybe not solve this issue. Some issues you can't solve, like, I don't know, um, maybe like really annoying, invasive family members. You can't solve them without hiring somebody illicitly to do something like that can't be solved necessarily. But these things should be approached with the attitude of like, I want to find better, more effective ways that I can deal with these situations, you know? And I will say to add to what Ryan said, like you have to be able to deal with some things yourself. I have been to different counselors throughout my life for different things, getting picked on as a kid, various like substantial life changes, stresses at work, whatever, different times in my life when I wanted somebody else's perspective on these things, who could help me get out of some of these horrible like anxiety and depression induced thought cycles, yes, cycles of thought, mindsets that were just terrible to be in and unhelpful. And some of those people helped me a lot, but it is true, you don't always click with a therapist, you know? You have to be able to find one that has similar values to you. You know, if you're someone like me, if you go to some radical anti-establishment therapist who believes that we must demolish colonialist, patriarchal, Christian sort of mindsets and tenets of society, we have to like radically just undo everything and start from ground zero. That's probably a little radical for me. What am I sitting on? I found it. Oh, I broke my eyebrow pencil because I sat on it. That's really sad. You know, it's like that person's not going to be somebody who I'm going to be able to get help from. Likewise, if I went to somebody who's like, I am a fundamentalist, super Catholic, super far right counselor, who's going to be very severe to you if you mention that you have ever had a glass of wine or you ever had premarital sex or you have friends who ever like tried weed once or something, or if you watch movies with violence in them or a boobie, you know, like I'm going to tell you that that's your problem. And you know, like there are people who are like, you have to find a therapist who aligns enough with your ideals, for them to be able to help you in a way that I don't know, is like morally and logically sound to you. And I don't know, there are just some therapists I've been to who they didn't help a lot. Or like I was misdiagnosed with something when I was a teenager that like she gave me the pamphlet and I remember reading through it and being like, this doesn't describe me at all, you know? Like, does it? Am I just nuts? Does she, I mean, she went to school for this. She's got a bunch of degrees for this and I don't. But it's like this isn't who I am at all. I think I probably still have the pamphlet in like a moving box, but you know, I do think therapy can be helpful to people. I think you have to find the right person who isn't so, they haven't been so indoctrinated with various like political or religious biases that they're not going to see you for you. You have to find somebody who is able to see you for you and try to give you the best advice possible. Who you don't feel like you're going to be judged or criticized or attacked by, because that doesn't help, it doesn't. Sorry. But I genuinely think throughout all of my life being a fairly unstable individual, the things that have helped me the most, I do think the Bible has helped me. Which obviously there's a specific population who that might resonate with, and everyone else is going to think that's silly. But a lot of the advice on interpersonal issues and sort of like community issues and issues with oneself, some of that scripture regarding psychology has helped me. It has the affirmations about being loved and created deliberately with intention and love by someone who is out there watching over you at all times is helpful to me. The idea of repentance and being able to be forgiven and being worthy of forgiveness and love from this creator, that has been immensely helpful to me. Because I think a lot of issues, I think a lot of why people end up in really, really bad situations with substance abuse and just repeating these self-destructive cycles, that they did have the capability to get out of. Sorry, honey. I had to get her little eye boogie again. I think a lot of the reason people like with alcoholism issues or who get in relationships with really, really bad, cruel people over and over again and don't know why they keep getting back into these relationships. I think a lot of the like sort of cyclical dysfunction comes from shame. It comes from shame, and it comes from not believing that you're actually worthy of forgiveness, and you're not worthy of overcoming and not being bound to these issues anymore. I really think that's a big part of it. I think self-loathing and shame and feelings of, I'm looking for I lost my witch hazel. That's fine. Feelings of unworthiness are a lot of why people end up doomed to these cycles of things. So in that regard, I think the Bible has helped me a lot. But self-help books have helped a lot. Reading Carl Jung's stuff, the shadow work stuff, resonated with me a lot. I think it's a really powerful tool. For me, it was a lot. And just reading various books by psychologists on issues that pertained to me helped a lot. I hate to say that because I don't want to alienate anybody from ever going to a counselor, because they can help. They can help a lot. They can. A lot of them do help a lot. But for me, I think prayer, and I know that sounds like culty. I know I sound nuts to people who aren't religious. But prayer, reading biblical scripture on psychology and self-worth and forgiveness and societal and community type issues, that helped a lot. And these self-help books helped me a lot. Probably more than all the counselors I've been to have helped me. Yeah, I do. I think those things have helped a lot. So, the conversation has kind of changed. Let me try and catch up a little bit. RIP pencil. Yeah, there's like a $4 pencil at CVS, which is not a lot, but like, I was using that. And now this has never happened before. It's not supposed to do that. Yeah, I can't. There it is. I guess I can still turn it. Oh, no, I think that one's done. That one's done. I murdered it. Oh, that's very sad. Let me see. One thing you don't need to solve, your looks. If you're talking to me, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'll go potty soon, I promise. Crust core, old school hardcore. Isn't it human nature to focus on the negative? Yes, I've absolutely said that. I strongly believe that. I strongly believe, and I've talked to Spooky about this too. She talked about this in her recent live stream she did as well. I think that focusing on the negative stems from, it's the same thing as like the reason our fight or flight reaction was so important back in like caveman type days, feudalism type days, where now it tends to be incorrectly applied by our brains to day-to-day situations where we're not in any danger. I think that's where this comes from. I think the emphasis on the negative that our brains tend to do by default is it's a defense mechanism, you know? And I think it's kind of like the whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs thing. Like, I think it's a very like higher thinking evolutionary type mechanism that we are self-aware enough, and we are at a place where we are so prosperous and safe and healthy in general in like some of our societies. What's the politically correct term? It's not first world countries, but you know what I mean. That we are able to, we have the luxury and the ability to counter that emphasis on the negative that our brains do by default by consciously seeking out the things that bring us joy, consciously seeking out things that restore your sense of self and your ability to feel relaxed and in control. You know, that's kind of the like Cliff Notes version of that. So you're saying we must no, that's not what I'm saying. I still don't remember how to say your name. Hi, welcome. As far as metal goes, I've really gotten into Leo Moracchioli lately. A bunch of pop songs, palatable, doing metal covers. Oh, I like that. Ooh, mascara brushes. How is Spooky doing? She's doing pretty good, from what I know. Let me see. Yeah, something Willie said here is such an important thing that you need to give yourself a little credit for that, because that's huge. That's an incredibly healthy, important thing to do. Whenever I think back on the mistakes that I made, jumped again. Did it again. I realize that take it from the top. Whenever I think back on the mistakes that I made, I realize that I'm able to better myself because I can recognize bad problems and issues, which helps me overcome them. Yeah. And that ability to reflect and be able to maybe analyze and identify ways you could have done something differently shouldn't be a source of shame and perpetually like punishing yourself. It's an incredibly healthy, positive thing that you're able to do. You know, you're able to, and I think that's I'm gonna try. Hi, Cryad. I forget how to say your name too. Sorry. Everybody stop talking till I get back from going potty, because everybody's talking about I'm hungry again. I didn't finish my protein bar, that's why I'm still hungry. Everybody's talking about dating, and I want to weigh in on that too. Let me see. Something Octane Junkie said a while back was, sorry I read you guys' stuff out of order. I hope that doesn't just totally create havoc in the chat. I think you have to have a therapist that can accept every person has a unique problem with an often hyper-individualized solution needed to process their issues over time. I agree with that. Oh my gosh, Kefki, yes. Bad things can become comfortable because it's what you know and are comfortable with. 100%. That is absolutely where I was for a long time here with some stuff. Prayer helps a lot too. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. And yeah, chronic 30-year alcoholism, cutting back from 2 bottles of vodka a day now to just over 1. That's something too that's huge. Like, people always think, I have to cut off this bad thing immediately. Like, I have to go cold turkey from smoking immediately. You know, I have to not consume saucy adult content immediately. Like, whatever it is that you have identified as something that's not good for you in your life. Something more objectively bad for your organs, like a bunch of alcohol and stuff, you know? I think it's been found. That's a really reassuring way to start a sentence. That makes me sound very confident and competent, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure it's been shown time and time again in studies. That sounded more convincing, right? That stopping something unhealthy cold turkey tends to not work. If you can slowly taper off of some behavior that you think is bad for you, it's far more likely to stick. If you are consciously, you know, changing your routine gradually over time. So I think that's awesome. I think cutting back on alcohol gradually is I think it's a more realistic way to handle that issue in a way that's going to be, it's going to be like long lasting. It has the capability to be long lasting, where going cold turkey from something is usually really destructive and doesn't tend to stick, you know? Cry had said, I can't drink on my narcolepsy and anxiety meds, so I was forced to stop after a bad case of alcohol poisoning. Ooh. Yeah, drinking on the modafinil is not great. I need to research why. That's pertinent to me for sure. Is it true what I think Ricada has said on his streams, that because modafinil is processed by the liver, if you take modafinil, and modafinil's not just for narcolepsy. I know people who have sleep apnea who are on it too. But because your liver is, I made a red spot by putting my fingers here. That's how sensitive my skin. I look like I have a rash. I look like I'm dying. I look like I'm having a medical emergency now. Because your liver is preoccupied with breaking down your modafinil, it doesn't like do as thorough of a job. I'm making it sound so stupid. I'm making it sound like ridiculous. This is not, just, I don't know, whatever he said, that because your liver is like so consumed with processing your narcolepsy medication, the alcohol that you're ingesting kind of like bypasses it or isn't processed by the liver as thoroughly. So it's like it hits you like a wall. All of a sudden you're like, whoa. Because I've had a beer before. I take modafinil, not every day. I don't take modafinil every day for my narcolepsy, but like during the work week, like running errands, doing anything outside of the house, all of that stuff. Yes, like Furry Kitten said, I just saw the by itself, and okay, it's not funny. Hi Shio. This is Nemi. You've seen Nemi before, I'm sure. She is a sleepy girl. She's adding to the decor I threw here last minute. Yeah, you have to be really careful if you're taking medications like that, because it's much like a lot of SSRIs, where it kind of effectively it like amplifies the effects of alcohol in a way. So you have to be really, really careful. I've always been a mega lightweight as it is, so I drink very, very little. Because yeah, you have to be cognizant of how those medications affect your organ functioning, you know? Um, I think that's all very fascinating. I've rambled just tirelessly about sleep disorders and damaged neurons and all of that chemical stuff. It's fascinating to me. Um, I had a bruised and swollen liver once in kickboxing from a kick. Not cheese is food. I like cheese, but I'm lactose intolerant. I'm very lactose intolerant. The liver is evil. It must be punished. Mort, when she was on side quest, it was hilarious. Drunk on wine. Yeah, I would have like a glass of wine on side quest. There were a couple times where I had like a big glass of wine and I was like, that was too much. You know, I like my wits were dulled to where it was like I cannot keep up with the banter going on here. You know, so I've effectively rendered myself not useless, but I am not contributing to the show as much as my co-hosts now because I made myself stupider than I already am, you know? So like I wouldn't drink like a big glass of wine anymore on the show. Cuz I didn't like that. I felt guilty, you know. I felt bad about like um hindering my cognitive abilities even more to where I'm like I felt like I wasn't holding my own. I felt like I wasn't carrying my weight, you know? Got to fill that purple heart goblet to the brim. You sat there and stared at the camera with a giant shitty grin. I have to go and cook. I hope it goes well, Orla. I hope you have a good rest of the day. If I don't see you, hi, Get Leveled. Welcome. Let me see. I'm sorry. I know I gotta leave. Will never ever touch SSRIs again. Was on 200 milligrams of sertraline. Destroyed every drive and passion. Is sertraline... I've been on that. I was on that for a while and didn't like it, so I switched. Is sertraline Paxil? Because I don't think they don't prescribe Paxil anymore, right? Because it was like awful for people. I was put on that as a kid because my pediatrician was like, look, this is the only thing I as a pediatrician am allowed to prescribe you. Which was good because, you know, a lot of times people talk about how Zoloft is sertraline. Okay. I was on Zoloft more recently. And that's something too. It's kind of like with therapists, like SSRIs, they all are different, so they all affect your brain differently. And something that's really cool that my sleep doctor told me when he was teaching me about sleep disorders is like, the brain is a fascinating organ. I know I said like an hour ago I was going to go potty. I'm going to go do a restroom break and then I'll be back. You guys will have to babysit Nemi here for me for like a minute and a half. The brain is an amazing organ because it is the only organ in the body where you give two brains the same medication and they behave in opposite ways in response to the medication. The brain is the only organ that does that. So it makes it harder when something is going awry with your brain, the chemical processes or electrical processes in your brain. It can be more of a lengthy, involved process finding a medication that adequately addresses those issues for you. The inventor of the karaoke machine died. Is that true? Get the catnip. I'm on. Okay. I see Alan. And thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. I'm so hungry. I have to go. I have to go potty and I have to finish my protein bar here. Yeah, that's tough too. That's tough too because if you get prescribed an SSRI or one of your doctors thinks that would be beneficial to you, sometimes you have to go through a few of them to find one that works. Go pee. Okay. But I don't know. I think Yeah, one of my like weird, I hope it's not offensive when I use autistic like colloquially. Most of my best friends have autism. I'm allowed to say it because I have a bunch of autistic friends. That's I don't know that that's how that works necessarily. But one of my like yeah, one of my like hyper fixations, one of my like annoying special interests aside from like deadly tornadoes and I don't know, other really bizarrely random things is sleep disorders and stuff. Okay. Okay. You've got the tism. That's okay. You give me a pass. Thank you. I appreciate that. Get leveled. I needed that. I really did. Um, okay. Yeah, you guys keep an eye on Nems. Hopefully she won't get up and leave because I'm getting up. This is so awkward. I have to like clamber. Did I see SCP somewhere? No, I didn't. I have to, okay. Yeah, I have like everything back here in this corner of the room. There's the